Hello, how are you? My name is Praise Paul. We're super excited to be with you again on Family Strategy. You know, no one does it better. Today, we're going to be considering something that is very, very sensitive and a bit important. And I need to put out there that if you are in a marriage or you're in a relationship, that your life is on the thread or your mental health is being hampered, tampered with, or upset to the point where you're losing yourself, please, you need to take this warning. What you want to activate at the point is not revelation, it's not psychological strategy. What you want to activate is your survival instinct, which means your ability to stay alive. And so, if leaving that environment is what you need to unset, I mean, to recalibrate and decide whether you want a marriage, please, without pleasure, do that. Now, I'm saying this because we once had a case where the lady kept saying she wanted a holiday from a marriage. She wanted 3 months off to go clear her head and be okay. And people talked her out of it. They gave her revelation. They told her they couldn't verify where that happened in the Bible. And I weighed in to say, hey, this is not a spiritual matter. This is someone who is crying for help and needs some time to clear her head. And they talked her out of it. Oh, they gaslighted her. They put her back in the marriage. One day, breaking news in Nigeria, she had killed her husband. Now, I wish they could arrest everyone who talked her out of what could have been a life saving um, strategy. And so, the first thing I would like to do here is to help you understand that globally, the appropriate way to define a toxic marriage, it's something that is it's a marriage that or a relationship that is characterized by persistent harmful behavior and interaction that negatively impacts the emotional, psychological, physical well-being of one or both partners. So it will be toxic the moment it negatively impacts the emotional, psychological, physical well-being of one or two of the partners, right? It's a relationship where negativity, disrespect, and lack of support are common. Now, so note this carefully. There is negativity, there is lack of respect, and then there's lack of support. It's very common in this relationship. And then both partners may experience emotional or psychological damage according to what experts have put together over time. Now, one of the things you need to understand is that there are characteristics that define what a toxic marriage will be. Number one, I mean, it could be lack of trust, it could be constant criticism and disrespect, control and manipulation, because many of us mistake an obsessed partner with someone who really loves you. Obsession often have similar traits as someone who really loves, but you will know when the person is not comfortable with you taking your decision and living your own life and being by yourself. So it also has a bit of emotional abuse, physical abuse, lack of support, poor communication, chronic conflict, isolation, negativity. Now, why are we having this conversation if all of these, I mean, is symptoms or characteristics of a toxic marriage? You must notice that there are some characteristics there like lack of support, poor communication, isolation, negativity, and what have you. Now, the consequence of being a toxic marriage is that it leads to emotional distress, sometimes physical and health issues, and sometimes it affects the children, right? And so you need to know that sometimes what people are dealing with are subtle signs. It's not totally clear outrightly. So you have someone who talks you down, who tries to manipulate you. How I wish you can dress in a particular way. How I wish you can walk in a particular way. How I wish you can, and starts to show you an image that they expect you to conform. I want your butt to be in a particular way. Oh, I want you to drive this kind of car. Oh, why don't you have this kind of bank account? That consistently makes you feel less than who you are. That is part of toxicity. Or when someone is giving you silent treatment, because you see, the burden of definition is on you. It's not on the person who is giving the behavior, it's on the recipient of the behavior. And so you need to understand this because oftentimes you know what you feel, you know how it makes you feel, but people will try to talk you out of it. And sometimes you'll find situations where people are in a toxic relationship, but they don't want a divorce. And they don't, it has not gotten to the point where they want out, as it were. Now, it's not a responsibility to tell you to quit your marriage, because that's the other extreme, where every little thing that is a normal thing between couples now becomes an excuse to live in marriage. I often say to people that there are storms in marriage that may look a bit toxic. Storms are norms. It happens to the best of us. In fact, in team formation, they will tell you that there are 4 levels, which is forming, storming is level 2, norming is level 3, winning is level 4. And that is a given. However, you need to understand that the reality of marriage or relationships and the dynamics is such that sometimes there is a storm. And if you've been in a terrible storm, especially when there's turbulence, when you're traveling and then the plane is turbulent, there are times where it's almost as if the plane is going to crash. But people that have knowledge knows that turbulence will rarely crash a plane. And so regardless of how turbulent it was, if you are a frequent flyer or someone who understands the dynamics and the signs of turbulence, you are at peace, because you know that it's not likely going to crash, right? And so, having said that, there are times that you are in is a storm, is the storming season of your marriage, and all the times the person is just outrightly toxic. And so, the moment you realize that you have deployed every strategy, and then you are at your wit end, or it's beginning to affect how you see yourself, how you see your children, how you see the person, to a point where you're already thinking of either ending your life or killing the person or doing something crazy, please, with all pleasure, get out of that marriage. However, what we do in strategy, again, remember I told you 3 pillars of strategy. Bottom line, what do we want? I want this marriage to work. I want a good marriage. I want to be happy, right? Internal capacity. We check, we audit. Do you have the internal capacity to produce this outcome? Which means you have the capacity to reinterpret the behavior in a way that promotes your wellness. Because man is a meaning-making machine. And that's why if you give this to a little child, maybe a 6-month-old baby, he's going to put it in his mouth. Why? The only meaning he has about what enters his mouth and is that he must go into his mouth. He sees as food, right? But then if you give it to an adult, he knows. What changed is the meaning. When you were younger, if they gave you a toy alligator or a toy snake, you ran away. Now, you don't run away right now, because what changed was the meaning. So we're all meaning-making machine. And that's why I work with a woman whose husband perpetually calls her useless, right? And I said to her asked her to write useless. What does useless mean? She said it was an insult. It was impacting the mental wellness. So I said, okay, use plus less. There are 2 words there. Now, if we flip it, what does it become less use? What does less use mean? She said, when somebody does not have the capacity to get the best out of you. So I asked her, was your husband announcing all the while that he lacks the capacity to effectively utilize you? Meanwhile, you thought that he was an insult. She never saw it that way. And that was a deal breaker. I mean, that was what helped her snap out of what she thought was an insult when it actually was an announcement. And the moment she was no longer fighting him, one day he stood up and he was going to argue as usual. And then she was just smiling. And then he wanted to find out what went wrong. And she told him that she's been working with me. And this man said, any man that could turn you like this, I want to work with the person. And that's why I started working with him. Now, you need to understand that sometimes people want to stay because they believe in the potential of their partner, and they believe that the partner has capacity to change. And the truth is, people have changed. So I'm not going to sit here and tell you that, hey, people are never the labels, right? People are usually, the way I see them, you are either a resourceful state or a resourceful state. In a resourceful state, the beast in us comes out. In the resourceful state, the beauty in us is what we experience. And so I have seen a situation where this man thought he was in a perfect marriage. By the time I ran their marital assessment, he scored 89. The wife scored the marriage 11. 11 means coma. She was already on her way out. And I instinctively asked her if she was going to file for a divorce. And she told me she started seeing a divorce lawyer 4 months before. Meanwhile, this guy could vouch that marriage was perfect because she's been quiet for a long time. And in his mind, silence was consent. So If you have decided to stay, what bottom line do we want? You want to be happy, right? Internal capacity. So when we spot the gap, what we do is we work with you, grow you to the level where you have outgrown what looks like a debilitating situation in that marriage. And then number three is the operating environment. We now check the optics. Based on the operating environment, how do you develop the internal capacity to produce this outcome? So those are the three pillars of strategy. But having said that, so let's assume you are in this relationship. What do you do? Number one, you want to name the toxicity without blame. This is rage. If it is rage, don't stay. This is gaslighting, right? This is disrespect, for me, for my person, right? Or this guy has anger issues. You want to define it for what it is, because if we don't know what we're dealing with, we won't know the strategy to deploy, right? And so the first thing before even this, if you check some of my previous sessions, I've taught the concept called singing to the lion. Singing to the lion is what we deploy when you are working with a spouse who has anger issue or you're upset perpetually, or you're in love with someone that every time they show up, you lose yourself, you are angry. Now, if that's what you're dealing with, singing to the lion is to say, if you have ever seen a lion before, we show you the picture of a lion and we say, the first time you saw a lion, what came to your mind? Of course, everybody, naturally, they don't see a pet. What they see is death. Where did you get that from? You never met a lion before. Based on what you have seen, based on what you've had, the lion is the king of the jungle, even though it's not the biggest, it's not the largest, right? In fact, some people say that the lion is a coward compared to a tiger. But when a lion roars, a lot of people are upset. They're not upset. They are afraid. They're scared. So they run away. Now, we tell the client, I'm going to roar like a lion, but I want you to sing on top of your voice your favorite song. So they sing on top of their voices. And I'm saying, did the roaring affect you? They said no. Okay, so now I'm going to roar again, but this time around, you're not going to sing it out. You're going to sing it loud in your mind. You are literally distracting yourself, right? Because your mind is compact as compartments. In the compartmentalization of your mind, you have the horror movie, you have the bliss movie, you have the sports movie. It's like a cable channel. You have the remote control, so you can flip it into wherever you want to flip it to. So you put it on music, but make it very loud. Now, so they sing loud in their mind, and still the roaring has no effect on them. And so I said to them, go practice that. Every time it's roaring, yelling, shouting, you sing high in your mind. How does the song make you feel? Makes them feel excited, makes them feel good, make them feel happy. Fantastic. If that's how it makes you feel, that's exactly where I want you to be. So they go practice that and they come back and I'm monitoring them, and I realize in no time they've developed capacity to handle this person. And so if somebody wants to fight with you and you guys used to fight in the ring and you stop showing up in the ring, the person is the winner, is fine, but you are very happy with yourself because you're no longer in the toxic situation. Because it takes two to actually get into toxicity, right? It's either the person who is toxic is inflicting toxicity on you and you must be buying it. The moment you stop buying it, is dead. So number one, name the toxicity without blame. We're not blaming, we're just naming it for what it is. And don't be apologetic about it. Don't say, oh, it's no. Is this anger? Is it rage? Is it jealousy? Is it insecurity? What is it? You need to name it, right? And please run away from the usual name. It's a narcissist. If it's not been clinically diagnosed or she's not been clinically diagnosed, avoid that, right? But describe if you can't find a name for it, describe what you're feeling, right? Now, I must say at this juncture that there are people who are likely going to accuse their spouses of toxicity when in actual fact, they are the toxic ones. They always want what they want whenever they want it. But relationship is not like that. It's got to be compromised. We've got to come to a table to say, okay, what will serve the best interest of this marriage at this point in time? Because oftentimes, and that's why we use a data-driven methodology to find out what is going on in the marriage. At some point, what people tell you, it's not really what is happening. And so you cannot hear one side of the story and become subjective. I don't do it. I would run assessment on both of you, and my assessment never lies. So you need to name the toxicity without blaming. Number two, create your peace zone. It might be in your house, you create your P zone. It might be, hey, I'm going to dance. I have had cases like this where the man is no longer talking to the woman, and I get the woman to dance, start dancing, trip, party, make herself happy because, see, the bully is excited when they get under your skin. And one of the easiest way to deal with the bully is to ignore the bully. So they're trying to get you upset, but I mean, because whosoever can get you upset is in control of your life. So you want to create your peace zone. What is your peace zone? Is it a hobby? Is it dance? Is it a movie? Is it time with the children? You can a game, or you can pick up a new skill that you're learning. So you create your peace zone. And in creating the peace zone, you might want to have a truth meeting where you communicate to the person to say, hey, what time do you want, especially if you're the one responsible for their feeding or food or preparation and something like that. And then you can tell them, oh, from 7 p.m. to 9 p.m., I have a course I'm attending. All right. And so that might be your peace zone. So what's the title of the course? It's called Serenity. Oh, really? Serenity? What does that mean? Well, it's something that helps you enjoy yourself and be at your best at all times. Right. And so with that, you have created a bind to say, don't disturb me within this period. Number 3, guard your thought life. Man is a mimicking machine. And so we say in the framework of the man's construction, you have your upbringing, your environment, and your significant emotional experiences. Every of these stages that you've been through, there are programs installed into you. Now, ideally, you need to uninstall them. But many of us are not able to do this by ourselves. So we don't know that oftentimes the most critical part of us is the power to interpret. Your interpretation is built on your filters. Your filters are your beliefs, your values, your decision making, your language patterns, your meta programs, your memories, right? And so when you understand this, you will know that all these things put together is why you see things the way you see them. It's why somebody says you're stupid and another person is smiling and they're calm. Why? Because I know I'm not stupid. I know I'm the best of my kind. So it has no effect on me. But someone else is going to get depressed because of that. Why? Because of their interpretation. So you need to guard your thoughts and say, okay, what is happening here? What narrative do I create for it? So this person appear disrespectful. But then, is that the only thing about him? No, there are other good sides to him. So can we focus on this good side? Okay, so he's a power dresser. He's an excellent person. He's very, very intelligent. Okay, but then it's disrespectful. So that is being disrespectful. Could it be trauma response? Okay, so we'll say it's trouble, but then he's on his way to wholeness. So when I look at him, I'm not looking at him through the prism of everything he's doing. I am looking at him based on the overall idea of what I can interpret. And your interpretation has got to be yours. If the interpretation of stupid is the most beautiful girl or the most beautiful guy, most handsome guy, it's your interpretation. So you want to guard your heart. It says guard your heart with all diligence because thoughts are going to be coming to your mind. This person, hey, one day it's going to leave you alone, blah, blah, blah. If you feed on those thoughts, it's going to mess you up. Never believe a prophecy that doesn't empower you. That was Sean Stevenson. You never believe. See, there are so many thoughts coming to your mind, and there is not one way to process anything. So, for example, you got to your house and your house is flooded. And while you're looking at what is happening, you realize that your new iPhone is already inside the water and is already a mess. Meanwhile, your 3-year-old looks like she's enjoying herself. Now, your interpretation could mean that this child is destructive. What are you going to do? You're going to beat the child. You're going to yell on the child, scream at the child. 3-year-old. Did she sit down to say, I'm going to flood this house today? No. But then you look at it again and say, what's she trying to do? Maybe she's trying to create a swimming pool. If that's the thing, you pick her up immediately, you pick your phone, and then you attend to your daughter, right? Or she could look like that and say, maybe she's learning to swim. Okay, you want to swim? We're going to take you to a proper pool, right? If your interpretation is she wants to swim or she's creating a swimming pool, you are not going to be upset or agitated than, oh, this girl is, see what she has done. She's turned my house upside down. Number 3, find a godly accountability. I always am a stickler for support groups. I believe absolutely in support groups, right? So you might want to find the right support groups for you. It can be people who are doing ICANN, maybe people going through similar issues. The thing I don't like about people going through similar issues, especially when they don't channel it appropriately, is that it now begins to look like a place where we bleed on each other, or so you need to ensure that it's the right group for you. Maybe they learn golf or something like that. I usually prefer things like food court, where you can volunteer, or food bank, or hiking group, or golf group, or wine tasting group, or whatever it is. You want to find godly people who ensure that you're well nurtured, because if your partner has stopped nurturing you, you owe it to yourself. That's why it's also called personal development. And number 5, never make permanent decision in emotional fog. Sometimes people have made permanent decision. A marriage that should not go through divorce because they're in a stormy situation eventually went through divorce, simply because they couldn't differentiate between storms and permanent toxicity, right? And sometimes your spouse is in a resourceful state, and you need to be able to observe them. Maybe it's in a high risk job, or for example, if your spouse is military, right, they can get home, if somebody has gone to war, is having PTSD, is sleeping, and then is hearing gunshots and all this thing. You don't expect those people to be normal. And so you need to understand, again, that's where internal capacity comes in. So you don't make permanent decisions, especially when you have other information that this person is not permanently like this, and that they are not harmful to your mental health or to your physical health, right? And so you need to understand that sometimes you have capacity. It's just that many of the time, what we call overwhelm is that we have allowed the situation to rise above us. But we can rise above it. When we rise above it, we can actually command it. So I hope this has been helpful. But like I said, if your mental wellness is tampered with, and you've gone to see a professional, maybe you've come to see a family life strategist like me, and then you still cannot go on, and you think that separation is what will help you, without pleasure, go ahead, do what makes you happy, and especially what promotes your wellness. I hope this has been really helpful. Hey, if you're yet to get the family combo, it's affordable. Go get it, because tomorrow may be too late. Your marriage doesn't have to crash. Your family needs to work. Or if you're planning to get married, you need to get it, because you will learn how to structure your family. Or if you're new out here, maybe from Africa or from Asia, you want to get this because it's going to totally change your life. And if you want me to work with you as your family coach or your family strategist, or you want me to help you build an intelligent family, hey, you can look at the flyer on the screen and then use the scan code, and then I will see you. Thank you very much. I'll see you tomorrow. If you're in Houston, hey, let's hang out. I'm in your city from tomorrow. I honor you. Bye-bye.